Lethia, thank you for taking this time to spend with me and everyone here at the summit. Um, I am amazed by a comment that you made to me, and I said, you know what? I got a spot for you to tell this story. And you said in your first 12 months of speaking, you did 172 or something like that, 170 something speaking gigs. And I'm like, wait, there's only 355, however many days it is in a year, 355 days, 65
Right,
days
right.
in a year. If I divide that by 170, that's already 340. She did a speaking gig every other day, and that's like Saturdays and Sundays. So I said I had to have you on here to talk about that because, I be getting people, they be like, oh, I did 5 gigs last year. I'm like, that ain't nothing. My girl Lethia did that in a day. So my question was, how did you do that? And how can other people, even if they don't aspire to do 170,
Mhm.
how do they do enough to make
Right.
it a full-time career? Right?
Absolutely. First of all, Ron, thank you so much for having me as part of your summit. I'm really excited to be here to share just what I've been through. Like, I'm just really, I'm not talking about what I read in a book. I'm telling people what I have experienced. And, no disrespect to I call him my business dad, Les Brown. Les Brown says that you have to be what? Hungry.
Hungry.
Everybody knows that, right? Well, I have a little bit, my advice is a little bit different. And what really worked for me, yes, I was hungry. But what I discovered, Ron, when you asked, what does it take to really build a speaking business and how did you do that many dates in one year? I not only was hungry, but I had a craving. See, a craving is different than being hungry. When you're hungry, you'll eat anything. But when you have a craving, you won't stop. You won't stop searching. You won't stop looking. You won't stop doing. You won't stop building. You won't stop stretching. You won't stop growing until you accomplish that thing that you are craving. And what happened with me was very early on, I got crystal clear about what I wanted to create. So I knew where I was going. My present didn't look nothing like my future, but I was so crystal clear and it was unshakable. Nobody could deter me. I was so super clear on where I was going. I quit my 120K a year job, started my company and began my journey. And it was the pull of that future vision. It would reach back to the present and it would inspire and compel me to do today what was needed in order to make success possible. So that meant that I walked up to people I didn't know and I introduced myself as a speaker. It meant that I spoke on stages that most other speakers were turning down. It meant I built my own stage. I mean, literally, I took some 2x4s at one event and I built my own stage and invited the community to come and hear me speak because I realized that it wasn't necessarily about people giving you an opportunity as much as it was about you owning and creating an opportunity. So did I have help? Absolutely. Did other people, support me on my journey? Absolutely. But a lot of what I accomplished that first year was because um, I embodied this belief that I was going to be successful. And right now, yeah, I may have held up a sign that says we'll work or we'll speak for food, right? Yeah, that kind of was the realm that I was in because my husband said if you don't speak, we don't eat. Because he quit his job when I actually 6 months before I quit my job to get the business started. So we were living in this world. If I don't speak, we don't eat. And so he would say every day, baby, go talk to somebody. Go say something to somebody because when you don't open your mouth, we don't get fed. And it was that mindset that really propelled me in the energy of just really being responsible and in control of what we were going to accomplish, Ron. It was that mindset that really got me excited and was really a part of the foundation of my speaking business.
Sound like it was like Mission Impossible, right? You were mission focused, so it wasn't just I just want to make some money. It was like no, so the world needs to hear my message. They need to hear my story. I don't care whether they pay me. I got to tell this story. Is that true, or am I making an
No,
assumption?
That's right. Like I was so committed to getting this message out there. And the funny thing about it, Ron, is I didn't even have a specific message. Like I just knew that I had to speak. When people said, Lethia, what do you speak on? I would say, whatever you're writing a check for. What are you writing a check for? Like that's what I speak on, right? But here's the funny thing. Like I craved that picture that I had built in my mind of what success looked like. I craved it so desperately that I convinced my company, State Farm, to let me use their property, our office, on the weekends, holding my own events, charging people for it. Who has the audacity to ask their boss if they could use their facilities to hold events and charge people for it? I did because I had a craving. So when you have a craving like that, just like Les Brown tells the story of showing up day after day after day after day, waiting for that opportunity. Why? Because he could see himself on the air. That's when the opportunity, struck. When he had the opportunity to get on there, he was ready. He was prepared. And that's how I was because I could see in my mind's eye what success looked like for me. I've been practicing since I was 12 years old. I've been practicing speaking and I didn't even realize it was public speaking, but I had been practicing just using my voice to command people, to inspire people, to move people, to mobilize people. And this was a time when I finally was ready to do it. And so I jumped in, everything, burned the boats. There is no plan B. What is my plan B? Plan A. Like that's the life we were living. What is your plan B? Plan A. That's my plan B, right? And it was because we had that definiteness of purpose and that clarity of mind. It just does something for you with regards to how you show up. When you have a plan B, when you're playing it safe and you have other cushions and other things, you show up differently. I mean, I've shown up differently in times when I had a safety net. But when you don't have a safety net, it will inspire you to get really creative and really strategic. And that really is what I want to share with your audience today. Building a thriving speaking business is about being creative and it's about being strategic. And there are seasons in your speaking business. I went from will speak for food to growing a very successful speaking business, stepped away for almost 3 years to run the marketing for the John Maxwell organization and filling John Maxwell's events, and then came back to speaking and having to rebuild all over again. So this is John. I mean, Ron, we're back in the seat of this is going to be the year of speaking a lot. And that's what I did my first year. So I'm excited and I'm actually going to share with the world my journey. And I'm going to say, hey, look, this is what it looks like when you want to make it a year of speaking a lot. Just follow me on this journey. And I'm going to share with the world what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, what worked, what didn't work, so that other speakers can learn from it as well.
Well, hey, I'm glad that you decided to come here because now you're one gig down. We get to add one of them gigs.
That's right. That's right. Because we're all like
we're
one.
one of those.
What speakers don't realize is sometimes you are 1 gig away from that next big opportunity, that next big break. And you cannot judge an opportunity by its cover. We hear that about a book, right? You can't judge a book by its cover. Can I tell you a quick story? Can I just tell you a quick story? So, first of all, let me just say this because it'll make sense after I say this. I just want to get this out of the way. So many speakers, they dream of and they covet the stage, the keynote. How many times have you been somewhere and you see people who aren't a speaker at the event jump on the stage and take pictures like they like I that's going on my dream board. They're taking pictures on the stage. They are not a speaker at that event, but they so covet these big stages, right? But here's what I want you to understand. It's not just about the big stages, right? A stage in the context of public speaking and thought leadership, right, is basically any platform or medium through which you can use your message, your ideas, and your expertise to share with an audience. And so, one of the things speakers, if they really want to thrive, they have to redefine what a stage is. Ron, I did 175 dates that first year, and I'll be very transparent and say many of them were for less than $500, and some of them were even for free. I mean, I didn't even get a fee. I got a chicken dinner and some green beans and some mashed potatoes, right? But here's what I want you to know: 36 months later, I'd made over $1 million in my speaking business. Why? Because I use this secret that most speakers will never tap into. It's called leverage. I leveraged every opportunity, every contact, every stage. I realized like I changed my definition of what a stage is. And I wasn't looking for just a bright light. I spoke on one stage that was in a Holiday Inn with three people. I got on a plane, traveled somewhere, and only three people showed up, right? So here's what I wanted to say. I wanted to define stage before I share this quick little story with you. So I get an opportunity to speak. They're like, we can't afford your fee, but we'll get you a plane ticket and we'll make sure you have a place to stay and we'll get, you can eat in the green room, right? And I said, okay. And I just felt compelled to go to this event. And I'm like, okay, I have been practicing some new speak to sell techniques. And so I'm like, I'll just go try my new material out here. So I get there. Now, they promised me that there were going to be 200 ideal clients in the audience. So I'm like, I know me. Like I can speak and earn my fee. Like I'll earn at least my fee. So I'm good with that. And I get there, and there are like 38 people in the room. Eight of them were her mama and brother and kids and people who would never be able to sign up for my program. And I remember being backstage, and I'm not even gonna lie, my little lip was turned like I was looking some kind of way. I was feeling some kind of way because this was my friend. And normally, if I show up and you don't have the minimum number of people that you said in the contract was going to be in the room, you would have to write me a $2,000 check before I would even step on stage. So I'm like, I'm not going to even do that. That's my friend. I'm just going to go and serve. And I prayed a prayer behind the curtain. And I said, Lord, help me to serve to the best of my ability, adjust my attitude, and help me to serve. And I went out there, Ron, and that probably was one of the best presentations, even to this date, that I've ever done. Like I'm talking, drop the mic, I killed it. But here's what's really interesting: I didn't get paid not 1 cent to be there, just my expenses were covered. I walked off that stage 45 minutes later and I closed $102,000 worth of services in 20 minutes. I'm like, don't pay me all day long. You don't have to pay me. Just give me a stage, give me a platform. I will earn my fee. Because if you pay me, and back then my speaking fee was 10K. It was crazy to accept a prepaid check for 10K when you could turn it into 100. And then from there, I did another gig shortly thereafter. I did like 3 gigs in a row: 65, 75, 80, 82, and then the 100 and something. No, 83, I think, and then 102. So within like a 3-month period, not getting paid a speaker fee, I was able to make those kinds of numbers. If I had not adjusted my definition of stages, I would not have had that opportunity. 4 gigs, I would have made $40,000. I made almost 240 something $1,000, right? By just changing my definition of a stage. So what I've learned about successful people is they not only do things differently, but they think differently. And so that's the muscle that I've been working to exercise as I've shifted in my speaking business.
You know what? I'll tell you something. A lot came to mind there. First thing is closed mouths don't get fed. If you didn't ask State Farm to use that, well, you just would like everything you want is usually on the other side of no, right? And if you can deal with the person saying no, which really doesn't hurt, like watch this, no. Anybody who heard that, did that hurt? No, didn't hurt nothing, right? So you're just in the same position that you were before you asked me. It's not like if I say no, you lose $10,000, right? It's no, we're not gonna let you do it. So just know that just ask everybody for whatever you want. That was the first thing I took from what you said. The second thing is that you never know the power of who is in the room. you think that the large number of people, like, there's no reason for me to go on Oprah Winfrey show with 5 million viewers because they're not my audience.
Right.
I would be
Right.
better off going to a Black NSA meeting that has my audience, that are
Mhm.
speakers that need what I have to offer, right?
Absolutely.
So that was the second thing, because I just want to kind of sum up what you said, because there were so many gems in there. And then the other thing I got was, you got to have a product. Like, your intellectual property can manifest itself in all types of ways. Showing up on stage and talking is just one expression of that intellectual property. But then there's a product, there's a course, there's coaching, there's something else that you've built that says, hey, if you don't buy my course, at least I got paid to show up. Or if you ain't gonna pay me to show up, at least I sold my course. And you can do this getting paid before, during, and after, which I thought was brilliant,
Mhm.
because you probably like, dude, don't ever, if you're gonna let me sell, I don't wanna don't give me nothing up
Keep your
front,
peace.
you know?
Keep your
Yeah,
peace.
exactly. Well, I mean, think about what we did. Like, I
Mhm.
know you from NSA,
Mhm.
right? And one of the things I was like, dude, how much is the sponsorship? Do I get time on the stage? He was like, yeah, cool. Like, I paid. I didn't like go for free. I paid. I gave away gifts. I'm
Mhm.
like, whatever we need, if you're gonna give me 20 minutes, I'm
Right.
buying it, right?
Right.
Because I knew the opportunity of being on that stage aligned with that brand in front of that audience. So I totally get what you're saying. And I think a lot of people miss that because they don't have something other than their voice,
Mhm.
or a $10 book. You got to sell a lot of books to make 100 grand. You do.
Yeah.
Like,
You
you got to
do.
sell a lot of books,
Yeah.
but you don't have to sell a lot of intellectual property, which is expressed in a different way, which is consulting or coaching or
Mhm.
things of that sort. You just never know how many people in that room can invite you to come to their place.
Right. Right.
So, but
Absolutely.
this your stage. But you can see I'm picking up what you're putting down. When you said you asked the Lord to serve, you served collard greens, macaroni and
A little
cheese.
toenail in it. They had a little toenail in it too. I put my pinky toe in there. Like I'm telling you, I put my pinky toe in there. Yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes. Here's another thing too, Ron, real quick. I just want to share with you, like, I mean, it's just every day I am almost confronted with, like, my belief system is confronted. I get surprised every day. And so people say, Lethea, how are you so creative, so positive, so this or that? It's because every day I get confronted with the fact that there's always a next level. And I just, that's my delight. Every day I wake up expecting to be delighted because there's a next level to experience, the next level of success, the next level of love, joy, or whatever, right? So I get a phone call. First of all, let me just back up and say, I created another stage for myself, and this stage is my iPhone. And I basically shoot a 3 to 5 minute video. I do it now once a month for the whole month, but I was starting off, I did one every Sunday. And I spoke for a company and I said, hey, did you enjoy that? They're like, we love you. I'm like, great. You would love getting me in your inbox every Monday, right? I'll shoot a video and you can send out to your whole company and I'll brand it with your logo. And it will be basically strategies on how to think like a game changer, the mindset of a game changer. They said, we want it. So they paid 10K for 52 weeks of videos that are 3 to 5 minutes long. So I was delighted about 4 weeks ago, Ron, to wake up to a phone call. And this gentleman is like, Lethea, your videos, your weekly game changer videos have changed my life. Like, you just don't understand what they mean to me. And I'm thinking, I'm talking to an employee of one of my clients. And then he says, and my friend every week he forwards the video he gets from his company to me. And I'm like, okay, just another stage, right? Then this man says, I own my own company and I want my people to get your messages every week. So he dropped 10K. So here's the interesting thing. I thought that I could only sell that video to people who had hired me to keynote. I now realize, what? You mean someone who's never heard me keynote will drop? Okay, it's on and popping now. We're getting ready to put a sales funnel together. Like, we are getting ready to do the darn thing. And so I'm just delighted and I'm surprised every day, like just what you can do when you totally redefine what a stage means, right? It's just,
Well, let me
yeah.
give you a great example. A water bottle in a box of 24, you get them for $4 for 24 of them, 50 cents a piece or something like that, right? In the vending machine, a dollar, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the airport, $4 for the same
Mm-hmm.
bottle.
For the same bottle.
On that plane, $6.
At a
At the
concert,
nightclub at a concert or a nightclub, $10. You're like, for this Crystal Springs, this ain't even Avion or this
you
ain't
dear
nothing.
heart.
Yeah, like this is generic 50 cent water. But
Yeah.
to the right audience,
The perceived
your
value.
message has a different value. And
Yes.
you thought, oh, well, these are just little Instagram reels. To your audience that don't get no value out of it, but for people who are going to win, and that message is the difference between closing a deal and having to renegotiate a deal. Now I want the close. Give me that closing message so I can get
That's
in here
right.
and get juiced up. So yeah,
I love that.
that's
Yeah,
but
and your people are your people. Like, and you got to know your people. I had a woman who bought my CD when I first, and I wanted to just go back for those of you listening and you're new to speaking, you got to start somewhere. So I get it. You might start out with a book or not a CD because we don't really do CDs anymore, but you're going to start somewhere, right? Maybe some streaming on, Spotify or something. But you have to start somewhere because I remember when I used to get paid more or earn more selling my CDs in the back of the room than I made from the speaker fee when that first year when I got started. Avon hired me. And they were like, well, we only want you to speak for, I don't care how many minutes you want me to speak for. My fee is my fee, right? But they're like, we only have this much money. So I spoke, I think, for $400. And I sold $1,200 worth of CDs. I mean, Ron, it was so terrible. My husband and I made them CDs at home. It was tearing up people's cars. I mean, some woman contacted me and said, yeah, your CD got stuck in my Escalade.
what'd you
Right.
tell her? Well, the Lord wanted you to hear my message more.
But I came home with $1,600. Man, I thought for 20 minutes they wanted me to speak for 20 minutes, and I stood in the hall for 10 minutes and sold CDs, and I came home with $1,600. Man, you would have thought I hit the $1 million lottery, and I did because in my head I saw a path to making millions. Like, man, if I just do this and this and multiply this, and I strategically started thinking about how to multiply those results. It was on and popping, and a woman reached out to me about a year later, and she said, "I met you at the Avon event, and I just want to let you know that my husband and I we go to bed to you every night." And I'm like, "What?" She said,
You compete with Luther Vandross.
I know. We fall asleep listening to your CD every night." And I share that just to say, like, you never know just how your message is going to touch someone. That's why it's
Mhm.
so important for us to honor the platform that we've been given, right? The platforms that we step on, we have to honor it because you never know. Like, people are like they are changing their life and hanging on to a word that you have said and you have spoken, and they are holding on to it for dear life because for some of them it is dear life, right? And
Mhm.
so there's a privilege that comes along with this platform.
Oh, 100%. And I think you said something I want to make sure no one was thinking I was disparaging writing books. But you can here's what I think, right? I think you have your keynote, right? And then the book is a longer form of your keynote, right? And then your course is a longer form of your book that may include videos and things of that sort. And then your coaching program is a more personal version of your course, but it's all still the same IP. It's just manifested in different ways at different price points because a corporation will want a, the same ideas, but they want to present it to 100 people so you can charge for 100 heads, right? For that workbook or for that training. So I think learning how to package your stuff, even if it's just a book, how do you turn that book into a course? How do you turn that course into a coaching program? How do you turn the coaching program into a corporate workshop? So forth and so on, so that you can get it expressed in different ways. So I'm not pooping on people that have books. I'm saying express it in other ways so that you can make more when you go to these gigs. Is that
Right.
fair?
Absolutely. And it really is about creating your own um um your your catalog, really. Like you want to create a catalog of services so that if I'm here and all I can afford is a book, I got a book available to me. And like you said, it all depends on what the client or the purchaser's objectives are. You want to be able to give them, like, it's sad for somebody to want you or want to experience you, but you have no way for them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's sad to have someone wanting to further experience your message and they can't, right? So let's try to create other ways for people to be able to experience us, because the message needs to multiply. I call it the gift of multiplicity, right? So
Mm-hmm.
multiply, having your message replicate itself and go out into the world. The more forms you have it in, the greater the chance that it's going to reach more people.
I remember when I was a financial advisor, and I used to always walk people through these standard things. And I was talking to this one guy about some insurance, and he was like, "Ah, yeah, we got enough insurance, but I'll get back with you in 6 months." And 6 months later, we did our review, and I said, "So what's been going on?" He's like, "Oh, not, I left my job, and I had like $600,000 in my 401k. I moved that over to Edward Jones into this." I said, "You did what?" He said, "Yeah, I moved that over there." I said, "Bro, why you ain't call me?" He said, "I didn't know you did that." But whose fault?
Mm,
Right? So
mm.
I got the book. They didn't
Oh,
know I had a course. They
that's
didn't know I
right.
had a
That's
training.
right.
He said, "You just the insurance guy. You ain't tell me you did stocks and bonds and 401k rollovers and annuities. You told me this one thing, so I went to somebody else." I said, "Oh, that'll never happen again." Oh, look. First day, I pull out a book. I said, "We got all of this, but today we're gonna talk about this." We got all of
Yeah,
these. If you ever need any of these, I can help you. But today we're gonna focus on this part
absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
he didn't know. He had no idea. So here's the thing: people are gonna put you in a box. So you may as well tell them which box to put you in.
That's right.
They're gonna label you automatically. So I'm just gonna have you tell. I'm gonna tell you where to put me.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
All
it's
the
like,
boxes.
yo, yeah, exactly. I'm in this box. My box this big.
And we call it in the industry, we call it seeding, right? So I may be sometimes I'm delivering a keynote and they're the people in the audience, they see me as a speaker, but then up on the screen I'll have like Bernice Flyger Armor and a quote about how my coaching helped her triple her you know business or whatever. So they're like, oh, and she coaches. Like, I don't even have to say it, but I'm seeding by showing them who I am in various different lights. So I'm getting the message across that, hey, if you want coaching, if you want speaking, if you want training, if you want consulting, and saying things like, when I was working with the IRS, I worked on a consulting project with them, blah, 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 blah. Oh man, somebody in that audience, ears just went up. Everybody else was like, oh, okay, whatever. But there's somebody who's like, wow, she does consulting. And so it's important for us to be very strategic in how we communicate to people. Like you said, that'll never happen again. I will not walk up on the stage and miss an opportunity again. What we're not going to do is miss any more opportunities. Right?
Look, no, that's food. I'm taking off my table. I got to get this food. So
Right.
I wanna ask you in our last 10 or 15 minutes here, how did you get those stages? Like we talked about the mindset, which I think is important. We talked about the work ethic, right? We talked about the level of humility you need to have to say, "I'll go anywhere because the message is more important to me," right? We talked about how you innovated and how you get paid, where
Mm-hmm.
you were like, "Yo, I thought I was not going to make any money, but in reality, I made this amount because you were innovative in offering other products." We also talked about how they can expand one product into multiple different things, right? Different types of products. what else we cover? How you can seed your different services to make sure you don't miss something because somebody didn't know that you did this thing, like my dumb behind did, right? So how do I get these extra stages? Like what
Yes.
what's the path? What are the sources for
Mhm.
this?
So number one, you have to, like I said, change your definition of what a stage is. And once you do that, you're going to start seeing stages all over. You're going to start seeing opportunities all over. And then you have to be confident enough to ask for an opportunity. You're going to hear so many no's. Oh no, we already got speakers. Oh no, da da da. Or no, we don't do that. That's okay because you just need one yes, right? You just need one yes to keep it moving. So I developed thick skin pretty quickly. And I just said, a no is not personal. It just means this isn't the right time, or there's not a good fit right now, or it's but it's not a no, there's something wrong with me. So I just keep going until I get to the person who is a yes for me. But one of the things that I did is I use what I call my do, doing, done method of marketing. And my market domination, I use my market domination blueprint, which I'll explain a little bit later, and my do, doing, done. Basically, if I had your phone number, if I had your email, if I had your address, and even your fax number, I made sure that everybody I knew what I did. So what do? I sent out a notification that says, "Hey, this is what I do." Right? You know me as an IT person, as a leader at State Farm, but now I'm starting my second career, and I basically I'm talking all the way back to grade school teachers. You hear me? I'm talking all the way back, right? So everyone that knew my name and I knew your name, you knew what it is that I do. And then when I was doing it, I leveraged social media using my market domination blueprint. The market domination blueprint is really simple. You just create one masterful piece of content, like real value add piece of content once a week. And you then chop it up into these little pieces. And then Monday, you send a little piece out and send people to your LinkedIn. Tuesday, send a little another piece out and send them to your blog. Wednesdays, send a little piece out, send them to your YouTube, and then throughout the week, other posts you might do are just general, like, "Hey, I'm at the beach" or whatever. But that way you're getting your thought leadership information out there. So I use my that concept of market domination. I was seen everywhere, Ron. Like I was ranked number 8 among the top 30 brand gurus because people just saw me everywhere. And I was saying to myself, are they punking me? Or like, how did this happen? And what I realized, it was because people assume that if they see you everywhere, you must be the best. So when it came time to vote, they were like, "Oh, I know her. I recognize her." That's because they just saw me everywhere on social media. So the do was to let everybody know what you do. Doing, let people know what you're doing. Post on social media. Send reminder emails. Send not reminder emails, but just like reconnect emails. "Hey, I thought you might want to see this video clip," or "Hey, I'm just reading this book and I got a chance to incorporate it into a recent keynote. Thought you might be interested in this book," or whatever. So when you're doing something, let your people know what you're doing, and then what you've done. Say, "Oh, it was such an amazing experience speaking, at the summit for Speaker Hub. I had such Ron and we cut the fool." And just like tell people what you did. And so taking a picture, which I'm going to get ready to do right now. All right, smile, Ron. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good. I got my picture. See? So then I'll put that out on social, say, "This is what I did." So doing, done, right? And you tell people, you just keep people who are watching you informed on what's going on. So that's one aspect. But the other thing that I did was I wrote an email that basically said to those same people, "This is what I'm doing. If you are someone who might need a speaker, or if you are someone who might know someone who's a speaker, I would love to just have a few minutes with you, blah, 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 blah." So when I ran out of my list, Ron, that's where the problem came in. So then I had to start paying to try to get association lists and books, and it became crazy, which is why I love Speaker Hub so much, because it has streamlined and reduced all of the rigmarole and hours and hours and hours of slave labor, like me slaving. I call it slave labor, 'cause- but slave labor, me slaving over trying to, the systems don't make it easy to reach out to the people. So it was like crazy. And I can't tell you how much money I've invested in conference lists and never even got a chance to pitch because the process of getting to the pitching part was just so difficult. And so when I talk about, my year of speaking a lot, I'm so excited because Speaker Hub is one of my main strategies. It's not the only strategy because I don't think that it can't grow, it can't do what I want to do in my business by itself. It is a tool that I can leverage. It's not a magic wand, right? But I'm excited about using that tool and incorporating it with all the other strategies that my team and I are putting in place to really get the visibility. So it's relational. Use your relationships, leverage your content that you're creating, get it out there, share it everywhere, leverage tools like Speaker Hub that has access to the people you're trying to get in front of. Because here's the thing, I did 175 dates my first year. The reality of it is I got good really fast because I was speaking a lot. When you speak 2 times a month or 8 times a year, you're not getting really good really fast. You are marginally improving every time you deliver that message. So when you adopt the mindset of speaking a lot and speaking on a lot of stages, you're going to end up finding that not only are you getting more opportunities, but you're getting better in the process. And that's where I'm at right now. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, I don't, I mean, yeah, I have other revenue sources and I'm doing pretty good because my fee is high enough. And I could choose not to make the next year, the year speaking a lot, but I have this new content that I am just excited about getting out into the world. And it's good, but I want it to be phenomenal before I write my New York Times best-selling book. So I still have a lot of work to do with, testing out and working through some of the content that I want to put out into the world. So speaking gives me an opportunity because audiences are honest. If you say something and they're like, or they're like, oh my God, that was amazing. Immediately if you're onto something. So I'm just really excited about, having the opportunities that I have that definiteness of purpose and that vision like I did when I first started. It's like I know exactly what next year this time is going to look like because of what I'm doing today. Like I know everything I'm doing today is going to blossom and have amazing results because the people who, you know, win are the people who hustle, right? And the only thing left over from the people, who hustle is whatever is left over from what they've left behind.
You
So
don't want that.
I don't want that. I want first fruits. First fruits.
You know what I always think about? Like, how much would you prepare? There was a show called when I was younger called Showtime at the Apollo,
Yeah,
right? I'm
in
thinking
Harlem.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, how much would I have to prepare if I knew I had to go up on the Apollo stage?
Mm.
Because you knew if they liked you, they was gonna stand up and they was gonna be dancing with you. But
Yes.
if they didn't like you, it only took one person to stand up and boo.
Ooh.
And it started an avalanches of boos. And then the Sandman came out there with that hook and tap
Yep.
danced your behind right off that
Right
stage.
off the stage.
Right.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
I think about that because, you know, as a speaker, as someone with a message, you have better believe in what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Right. To be able to deal with the boos when you're not that good, but be persistent enough to stick with it through those hundred and some dates, eating the
Mm-hmm.
green beans and chicken for pay,
Ooh.
right? As you're trying to get better. Because if you don't believe in what you're talking about, there's no reason to get better, right? See, I'll tell you a story I don't tell anybody. And most people, if you didn't know me from 25 years ago, you don't know this, right? So I used to be a church boy and I would preach in the church on Sundays. Not like practice, like, but really do it, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And you have better believe what you're talking about before you get your butt up there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, oh, you're gonna find out. Right? And
Yes.
at the beginning, you're not that good. You're passionate and you get over just by the passion and the exuberance of being a new Christian or a
Yep.
young preacher or a young
Mhm.
deacon or whatever your role was. They let you slide with some stuff that you probably ain't that good at, but they don't want to kill your spirit,
Right.
right? But you got to be willing when the guy pull you aside, say, hey, you know, that one thing, it really was this. That part wasn't. You got to be willing to deal with that constructive
Mhm.
criticism.
Yes.
But because you love the Lord and because you believe, you get better. You take it and you say, oh yeah, next time I'm gonna work on that. And Deacon such and such told me this, and yeah, I probably should have did this part. And you learn those things. But if you don't believe in it, that first little bit of criticism can make you what they call it, crestfallen, where you're
Yes.
like, I don't really want to do this again. I never. But that's why the message and the mission is way more important than the money,
Yes. Yes.
right? It's way more important than the money. I ain't never make no money as a preacher, right? But it taught me that if I believed in something, what I was willing to endure because of that level of belief.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
Yep.
sense? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you shared something with me. I don't know if you want to share it with everybody else, but it was like a list of 50
I'm an open
somethings.
book. Oh
No,
yeah.
no, no. Well, you had a list of like 50 somethings. And I'm like, wait, what's that? You was like, nope, I'm a hold on to it. I'm like, no, don't be trying to hide the.
Yeah, 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 yeah. See, when they come to the summit, if Bigger Hub sends you an email and say come to the summit, you need to come to the summit because there's gonna
I'm
be
like,
some good stuff.
I'm like, what's this? You had a list of 50 somethings. You want to walk us through what that list is and what it's
Yeah, and
about?
sure, yeah. And this is just, I decided, I said, let me just see if I could just come up with a list of some of the stages that I um spoke on, pitched to, things like places that I went to try to get an opportunity to speak. And these are just, I think, 52 different opportunities or whatever. And it's creativity to get your cell phone out, take a picture and just, capture it. But these are like, even your email newsletter is an opportunity. It's a stage. Put a video in there. Let people see you speaking. You should always be speaking. And I can't, I don't get it. These people who have websites with no demo video and they say they are a speaker. I don't get it. And here's the reality. You don't even need a website. If you got a great video and a LinkedIn profile, you're in business. Like it, imperfect action will take you a long way. I believe you should have all of the accoutrement as you advance. But when you're first starting, if you have a great message, a great story to tell, and you have it polished up enough that it can be presented well, you capture that on video, put that video on LinkedIn, and you're consistent in showing up, adding value, there will be someone who will book you to speak. And when we think about, training and workshops and breakouts and, the ability to vlog and doing articles in publications and attaching videos and association events and master classes and, even cruise ships. I just got an email not too long ago of a cruise company that was looking for speakers who would be willing to speak. They're not going to pay you, but you get to cruise for free, you and one person, right? So I've actually been on a Mediterranean cruise like that, and it was beautiful. 11 days, going places I probably wouldn't have gotten a chance to go to at that point in my life. So it's just really important to realize that you have so many more stages available to you if you would just leverage them. Be strategic, creative, and strategic about the stages that you step on and you share your message on, because the ripple effect of all of those places where your messages are going out, it will come back to you in the form of good, in the form of resources, in the form of fees, in the form of relationships and connections. So there's a lot to be gained if you would just broaden your view and redefine what a stage means.
I like this. I saw that on that list it had in-flight entertainment. And I'm like, oh, that is genius. That is genius.
Especially if you have informational content.
Oh,
It's
look,
inspirational content.
the people that are in first class are the executives that can bring you in to speak. Oh my God. I'm sitting there thinking, like, oh, that is totally cheating. Like, heck yeah. Like,
Yeah,
oh, okay. All right. I get it.
you get it.
Yeah, I like that one.
Wonderful,
And you,
wonderful.
I was watching something the other day, and they said, how do you sell a Rolls Royce? And I'm like, I don't even know how to buy a Rolls Royce, but how do you sell one? Let me think, right? And the way that most Rolls Royces and things are sold are at airplane demos, right? So when you go to not an air show, but an airplane demo, meaning they're doing they're bringing out the new Lear jets or the new private jets and things of that sort. And then Rolls Royce usually gets a spot at that demo. And do you know why they do that?
Because if you can't get the jet, you'll
Exactly.
hit the Rolls Royce. Well, I
You're
can't
looking
even
at
afford the
$50
jet, but
million
come on.
jets. That $300,000 car don't look like nothing next to a $30 million airplane. That car looked cheap.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
absolutely. Well, I can afford this at least. I can afford a Rolls Royce.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it makes sense. They knew where their audience was. So a lot of speakers make the mistake of trying to speak to everybody, especially when they're first starting. I think that that's a good thing because you need the stage time. But over time, you got to hone that in to make sure you're giving value, but you're getting value also, right? Meaning you're getting value. The person can afford to pay you, or the audience can afford to buy your product or service, because the mission is important, but the mission needs to be fed, right? If you can't feed the mission with more money to be able to travel and to, people ask, well, why at church they take up an offering? Because they got to keep the church open. The mission needs money. It's like any other thing. Like, you don't go to work for free. You think Miss Ann, the secretary at the church, is there for free?
Because the lights
you
are
know?
on just because the water, gas, and light want to just keep the lights on,
Well,
right?
I mean, God did say, "Let there be light."
Right,
No,
yeah.
I'm just playing.
But it requires some coins. Let those
you know,
coins disappear. Those lights are going to be off.
exactly. I mean, that them communion crackers are high. Them things ain't free.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you got to be willing to number one, get on stage and find the mission, and then once you've defined the mission, go after it and make sure that you're in front of the right people. You don't want to you don't want to be dropping gems to pigs, right? You want to be dropping gems to people that can find value in them. Like, some people will see those videos you were sending and they'll say, oh, these just her reels. The other person saw it and said, if my sales team had this, we could increase our sales by 20%. And how much? 20 grand? That's only 10 grand. She can send me the same one she's been sending them. So now you got 3 clients getting the same videos. That's leverage, which is huge, right? So no, I mean, dude, Lethia, this has been super duper valuable. What am I missing? What did I miss? What is it that you want to share that I missed?
I think the only other thing that, excuse me, I want to just really make sure our audience hears is taking imperfect action, right? So it's not about, even as I'm setting up my, some of what I'm getting ready to launch in October. We're going to be doing a massive campaign to really, increase our visibility and so forth. And there are things that I want to be a certain way, and it just with time is not going to happen. And I've let go. Now I'm not going to go out looking crazy, but I have to accept that imperfect action is what's required, because there is never going to be perfect action. I don't care what we plan or how we think it's going to, perfect action doesn't exist. So there will always be a degree of imperfection. So move forward boldly in imperfect action and just watch and see what happens. My thing is, just make a commitment to get better over time. But do it. Step out. Start pitching. Start asking people for the business. Start leveraging what you already have. Don't wait until you get more. Some of y'all don't need more learning. Some of y'all don't need more courses. Some of y'all just need more doing. And if you did more doing and pitching and things of that nature, the business would grow. And so, yeah, that I think that was the thing that I really wanted to make sure we highlighted was taking imperfect action. And yeah,
A couple weeks ago, the new iPhone came out, right?
good
And
thing. Yeah.
it wasn't the one that they launched 16 years ago, right? They launched 15 imperfect ones, right? So it's like I'm 46. This is Ron 46. Hopefully, Ron 47 gonna be better than Ron 46 was. Next year, I should be better off
Absolutely.
than what I was this year, right? So if you think of it that you're never going to be any younger than what you are today,
Mm-mm.
right? If you're listening to this, that that imperfect action is the perfect action to take now,
Mhm.
because next year you can do it again and be better next year or next month,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So you're looking at Ron 46, Ron 47. Y'all better watch out. It's gonna have 4 cameras. I'm gonna tell you how I know. Ron 40 didn't have glasses, he only had 2 eyes. Ron 46 got 4 eyes.
Oh, I cannot
So,
with you. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I love it. I
when
love
I
it.
go get this LASIK, we're going to do like Apple. We're going to take them other eyes off and say, we got better cameras where you don't even need all these extra cameras no more because we fixed the
Right.
old cameras. Uh, I'm about to see in 4D. Y'all have no idea when I get my eyes fixed,
Right.
you
I'm
know.
with you. We're
So
going. I'm with you. I'm with mine coming off too. Mine coming off.
that's it. That's it. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
one last question. Would you
Sure.
consider yourself to be an introvert or an extrovert?
I am a very, very much so an extrovert. I thrive off of being around people so much so that my energy, I could go like the energizer buddy. My husband, who's an introvert, is like, when are we going to leave? So I'm definitely an extrovert.
Okay, all right. And how do you think that that's affected your your business?
I think it's been, it can be a curse and it can be a blessing. And I think it's just a matter of refining it, right? So any attribute that we have unrefined can be a dangerous thing. So as an entrepreneur, being an extrovert means that networking events don't scare me. I actually thrive off of going to them. But the problem is being an extrovert. I learned early on that I talked way too much, right? I being an extrovert, I would come home and my husband would ask me questions and he would be like, "So do you da 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 da?" And I'm like, "I don't know," because I was talking. I was doing all the talking. He was sitting back doing all the listening, and he would say, "This is what's happening over there, and then this is a company we need to talk to because da 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 da." I didn't have any of that information because I was being the social butterfly. So I've learned through wisdom and through maturity and through just growing and developing, even though I am an extrovert, I have developed some introvert tendencies because it's more strategic in some situations to operate that way. So I think we need to learn to be flexible and to leverage, I mean, use our natural bent in a way that's it's kind of like read the room, right? Read the room. I'm still Lethia. I'm going to always show up as Lethia, but I may not be as talkative if I'm walking into a room. Like we're in West Palm Beach now. We moved here from St. Louis. I knew everyone in St. Louis. I'm walking in rooms now. I don't know these people. I'm sitting next to the mayor. Just went to a jazz concert. My client was the person who was doing the jazz concert. She flew in from California. The mayor was eating it up. All I knew is he was this loud man sitting at the table next to me. Later, come to find out, he was the mayor. Who knew, right? So, learning to really just when you don't know and when you're in new environments to observe more than you show up and share has been a really, really important lesson for me. So I think it can go either way.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and your husband are a good match.
Mhm.
When we were in Denver, I heard him say 6 words. Like he was like, come on, I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's
That's all
go.
he said.
Like we do our Game Changers Mastermind retreat in Dubai, and when he says something, when he opens his mouth, the whole room goes because they know it's going to be good. Because he doesn't really talk unless he has something really good to say, and the whole room they just look right. But yeah, he's a man of few words. Absolutely, absolutely.
But
But we,
he's an imposing guy. He's like 6 foot tall, and so when he come in, you're like, okay, this is a big dude. He's gonna silent. You're like, okay, I don't know if he's gonna kill me or he gonna like choke slam me or something. This is a big dude, you know. But
yeah,
he's quiet and he's one of the nicest people I met that weekend. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but I really appreciate you taking the time to come
Um,
on to share with our audience. A lot of them aspire to be you, right? But they didn't know you existed. So hopefully this is the first time, if this is the first time that they've seen you, they're inspired to get on their 170 stages and become the president of BNSA
yeah.
and work with all of the prestigious organizations you've worked with. I really appreciate the time. And
My
I
pleasure.
think it's going to help a lot of people. I'm talking about a lot of people
Yeah,
because I think a lot of speakers believe that you work really hard at the beginning and then you kind of taper off. But I think you're a great example of no, you can work as hard as you want whenever you want to work as hard as you want, as
hmm
long as it feeds your mission. So thanks again for the
yeah.
time today. And this is gonna be cool. This we're gonna help a
Yes.
lot of people with this one.
Anytime there's anytime there's an opportunity to just serve people and help them grow, I'm always available. All you got to do is call me up. Call
All
me.
right.
That's all you got to
All
do.
right. Well, anybody who's watching this, y'all want Lethia to come speak. She only charged $12 and some string beans. I think that's what she said. But
And
if you let her sell from the
some red velvet
stage,
cake. Got to get some red velvet cake in there.
there you go. There it is.